matter what you say, I know you were cheating. Deceiving my beloved son. What a wicked woman. My mother-in-law, hurling incessant verbal abuse, grabbed my hair and forcibly shaved it with a razor. Why must I endure such misery on my wedding day? But I'm not the type to be discouraged by such things. Watch and see. I'll easily overcome this trouble with the power of my love. My name is Vicky. I'm a 40-year-old hobbyist who enjoys looking up delicious recipes online and cooking them for my family. Honestly, sometimes I find it tiresome to prepare meals every day, but seeing my family's happy faces makes it enjoyable. I want to talk about the struggles I went through to create my family. About 10 years ago, I was about to marry my boyfriend, Maddie, whom I have been dating for about 4 years. It was because I became pregnant with his child. Despite secretly continuing our relationship, honestly, we couldn't take the plunge into marriage for a while because we were both busy with work and couldn't find the right timing. Honestly, as someone who was conscious of marriage due to my age, I worried that our relationship would end without us getting married. In the midst of all this, some happy news came. I found the courage to step into pregnancy. Some people still say to me, "If you hadn't gotten pregnant, would you not have gotten married?" But even if that were the case, we ultimately got pregnant, got married, and are happy now. The news of the pregnancy seemed like a good opportunity, but the reactions of our parents were a bit severe. Well, for my parents, I was only asked a few questions like, "Are you sure you can be happy with a shotgun wedding?" And they were just concerned. The problem was with my husband's parents. It seems they were trying to get him to marry his childhood friend named Abigail. It's a quaint story from a bygone era, when they were like the obedient children of their parents until they were in high school. Of course, neither my husband nor Abigail actually liked each other, and it seems that his parents' wishes were a nuisance to them. Both of them left home when they went to college, and the talk of the marriage became vague. But as soon as we went to meet his parents for the wedding,
"Why did this happen?"
my future mother-in-law was smiling, but there was absolutely no welcoming mood towards me. While they were happy about the pregnancy and the birth of a grandchild, it seemed that they were disappointed with me being the partner, so they had a complex feeling. They acknowledged our plan to get married, but they made sure to never forget that it was because of them that we could do that. It weighed heavily on my heart to hear that, even though my husband scolded his mother a bit. It seems my mother-in-law didn't mean any harm and she was just preparing herself. My husband wanted to get married, but I regretted marrying into such a troublesome family. The days that followed were really tough. First, there was the wedding. Because I was pregnant and had to juggle work, we wanted to move the preparations along quickly. However, even though the dress and venue were decided, they kept asking about the costs and interfering. They insisted on coming along to choose the venue and demanded it to be cheaper. They gave various opinions that changed all the time, so it was no help at all, and it just stalled the conversation. Still, somehow my husband and I managed to get closer to the wedding we wanted. But once the dress was chosen, they insisted on seeing it, and reluctantly I showed them the photos of the fitting. When my mother-in-law saw it, she said,
"You're going out in public with a belly like that?"
It was an extremely insensitive remark to me, whose growing belly was starting to show. If I were fat, maybe I would think about it, but I'm pregnant. "Hey, Mom!" My husband quickly reprimanded his mother.
"Oh, it was not intentional."
There was no apology. On top of that, she added,
"But I'm doing it for Vicky's sake. She's still young, so she could stay thin. I was even thinner in my day."
They were prideful people, who always had a lot to say, but my husband somehow managed to grow up well without such character. Maybe he's a good example to learn from. I couldn't bring myself to like the proud in-laws who looked down on people and never apologized. Well, it seems the feeling was mutual. But they seemed excited about the upcoming grandchild and even got carried away with suggesting names, insisting the baby be named after them. At that time, I decided to refuse, but both of them only said things that made me feel bad.
"If you had married Abigail, I wouldn't have had to worry about the wedding, but You have the kind of airhead partner who can't help but interfere. Even though she's pregnant, her arms are getting fat, which is evidence of her lack of self-control. My poor son was such a wife. Abigail is far more beautiful, and the grandchild would have been cute, but with this one?
Well, she's saying so much, and I don't even know if she's snickering or swearing. Although she kept disparaging me, she insisted that she absolutely must be the first to hold the grandchild.
Don't even think about letting your parents hold the baby by mistake.
So every time I saw my in-laws, I began to dislike them more and more. My husband scolded my in-laws properly, but it was like talking to a brick wall. Every time I saw this, I realized that marriage is not just about loving your husband. Well, no, it's not that all in-laws are like those in my family, but still, I think all the wives in the world are amazing. I received a call from my mother-in-law one day as the wedding approached.
Hey, Vicky, I saw you today on the main street.
I was out shopping, so...
Don't lie to me. You were fooling around with a man, weren't you?
What are you talking about? Oh, if you're talking about the man I was with, that was my brother.
You're still going to lie? Even though it's obvious that his hairstyle was different from your brother's?
Oh, when you first met him, it was summer, so he had a buzz cut.
Don't make painful excuses, it's enough already.
With that, my mother-in-law abruptly hung up the phone without listening to my explanation. It seems she didn't believe that the person I went shopping with was really my brother. My mother-in-law believes that I went out with a man and betrayed my husband. Well, she's like those kind of people anyway. Even if they realize it's a misunderstanding, they may not admit it. I was pondering what to do when, after a few days, we received a message from my in-laws to come to their house. The agenda was, of course, about my alleged infidelity. It's a misunderstanding, but since I had told my husband that I was going out with my brother, I wasn't suspected at all. However, no matter how much my husband explained, my in-laws berated me as a worthless woman and demanded a divorce. They insisted on not acknowledging the child's paternity since they didn't know whose child it was. I love my husband, and I don't like the idea of having a child born out of wedlock, but it's just my pride. It's ridiculous that my in-laws' stubborn beliefs could lead to a divorce over something like this. Both my husband and I have explained countless times to my in-laws that the person I was with was indeed my brother, but they refused to believe us at all. My husband finally lost his temper with his parents.
I trust Vicky, so that should be enough. Stop interfering, Mom.
Reluctantly, my in-laws withdrew their intention for divorce. They threw around words like,
I don't care if you end up unhappy.
And thanks to their stubbornness, they lost interest in their grandchild, thinking of him as someone else's child. As a result, their contact with us decreased significantly, making life easier. All that was left was to get through the wedding day, but on the day of the wedding, an incident occurred.
Hey, Beth, stop it. It hurts.
Just before the ceremony, when I was alone in the waiting room, my mother-in-law suddenly appeared and forcibly grabbed my hair. For some reason, she had clippers in her hand.
Stop the ceremony. The cheating woman doesn't deserve to get married,
she said, pulling my hair. Oh, Beth, didn't you just see me with my brother? Can't you see it's not cheating?
You're so annoying. If I say you cheated, then you cheated. Admit it already.
She twisted the hair I had grown for the wedding above my head, leaving me unable to move.
No matter what you say, I know you were cheating, deceiving my beloved son. What a wicked woman,
my mother-in-law said, pressing the clippers against my hair. With a sound of snip, 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 my hair was cut.
There, that's enough. How does it feel?
Some parts are long, some are sparse, almost bald from a distance. This is not the appearance of a bride getting married today.
Serves you right. You probably won't think about getting married today. Offer my son a divorce and stop the ceremony,
she said with laughter as she left the dressing room. Judging from the way my infuriating mother-in-law spoke, she probably realized it was a misunderstanding after seeing me with my brother. However, due to her haughty nature, she didn't want to admit her mistake, so she wanted to force me to lie and say I cheated. While she was at it, she wanted me to divorce my husband and said,
let our son marry Abigail.
Even though things weren't going well, I looked at myself in the mirror, feeling utterly miserable, tears streaming down my face. No, this is not the time to cry. The world is not that kind. I swore in my heart that I would not cancel this wedding under any circumstances. When it was time for the ceremony, as the announcer's voice filled the room, there was a commotion as I entered. Understandably so, I had been holed up in the dressing room until the last minute, and there were rumors that the bride had requested a divorce, and there was a dispute, so the ceremony might be cancelled. Well, my husband and I were the ones who spread those rumors to deceive my in-laws, but it certainly caused quite a stir. As my smiling figure entered, my mother-in-law stood up and shouted, "Why?" Even my friends sitting next to them were taken aback. They probably never doubted that the ceremony would be cancelled. Who would cancel it? As the event is about to begin, let's hear a special message from me, the bride, to the parents of the groom today and today only. Normally, a welcome speech would be given, but I start reading a letter, causing another uproar in the room. My in-laws looked surprised, but they had probably already turned pale. "Stop! Stop it!" she shouted, but it was too late. With a microphone in hand and a smile on my face, I spoke about my feelings towards my in-laws, keeping the greetings to a minimum. To Maddie's mom and dad, thank you so much for warmly welcoming me into the family. I began, and at that moment my in-laws showed an approving expression. They probably thought I was trying to suck up to them. Even on the day of the wedding, I was forcibly shaved by my mother-in-law. I said, taking off my veil and showing my bald head, causing a stir in the room. Even through the veil, you must have noticed that my hair wasn't done, but no one could have expected this pitiful bald look. "How awful!" voices from the guests rang out. My mother-in-law saw me walking with my brother in town and for some reason assumed I was cheating, leading to this situation. In addition, thanks to the countless hurtful remarks I've received, I've become mentally stronger and saved the trouble of going to the hair salon. Thank you, Beth. By the time I smiled again, my in-laws could only bury their heads in their hands. While the guests chuckled at my speech, which forcibly turned into a gratitude story, they gave my in-laws skeptical looks. "What's going on? Why wasn't the wedding cancelled? Why this harassment?" My mother-in-law trembled with anger as she stood up. "Harassment? I just told the truth and expressed gratitude, didn't I?" "What's there to be grateful for?" "We never intended to cancel the wedding in the first place, so why are you assuming we're breaking up?" "Well, if the parents are so against it, it's normal to break up, isn't it?" "Yeah, well, if we were to break up in this situation, it would be because of you." My mother-in-law didn't seem to know how to respond. My father-in-law next to her was also dumbfounded.
"After the wedding, I'm moving out with Vicky. I won't even let my kid see you. That was the plan from the beginning. But for you to bring out clippers like this instead of distancing, it's more like you're cutting off all ties, isn't it?" Yes, my husband has said to me before that this was just a test until the wedding. We had decided to distance ourselves from my in-laws after the wedding, even before being accused of cheating by my in-laws. If they had found out, they might have followed us even after the wedding. But thanks to their focus on wedding preparations, we were able to live unnoticed. "I'm grateful to you for raising me, so I asked to invite you to the wedding. Yet, you treated Vicky so badly, and didn't even apologize afterward. I hadn't even considered cutting ties with you until then, but now I've made up my mind." My in-laws raised their voices, urging him to reconsider, but my husband quietly instructed the staff to take them outside. After that, I wore a wig for the rest of the ceremony, and the wedding was redone with some changes to the program. I just cut out the section of the letter to my husband's parents, though. It was a chaotic wedding, but our friends who understood the situation livened things up, and my brother even provided some entertainment at the last minute. So thanks to everyone's kindness, I think it turned out to be a very nice wedding. In the end, I was filled with unexpectedly happy feelings, and tears welled up
involuntarily. I truly thought it was a good thing to marry my husband. After the ceremony, we quickly made our escape from the venue, skillfully dodging my in-laws. My husband and I then headed to our new home in a friend's car. Since then, we haven't seen my in-laws even once. I think my in-laws have ways to find my husband, but for that arrogant couple, it probably feels like admitting defeat to search for their son like that. However, there seems to be a desire to reconcile with my husband, but I don't know if I want to forgive them. But if they apologize, I might consider it. We've received plenty of resentful letters from my in-laws, full of excuses. It's such a nuisance, but whatever. No matter how many letters they send, I'll just continue to ignore them. Since then, we've had a daughter and a son. They're both grade school students now. The older one, a boy, is mischievous, to the point of bringing home a bunch of bugs every summer. So I have to ask my daughter to forgive him because she hates them so much. But my son is also gentle enough to help with cooking and housework, and I think he'll be a good husband in the future. Despite her lack of femininity, my daughter is taking good care of her brother, so she might become a good wife. Both of them are precious and beloved children to my husband and me. Someday, when they bring home wonderful partners, I'll cherish their partners as if they were my own children. I'm really looking forward to a future where new families will be made from now on. I hope you've enjoyed our video. If you've enjoyed our video, please like our video and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching, and see you on our next video.